Any long-term project or positive change in your life, like dieting, getting fit or building muscle, requires a certain degree of willpower. And the best way to keep up willpower is to be constantly motivated. This certainly works for me, and I stay inspired by looking at the work of others. They might be characters, someone to just look up to, or folks that have been on a similar journey to you and come out the other side, so you can see what potential might bring. It's probably healthy for your mind if you take your inspiration from a number of different sources. This ensures that any strong opinions are diluted. So here are a few places that I get my inspiration. I've listened to podcasts since they were first conceived, and you manually had to use a podcatcher and upload them to your device to be able to listen. From the regular list in my podcast app, there are a number of health-related ones. Here's a few you might enjoy. The Rich Roll podcast. The host, Rich Roll, is a former lawyer who transformed his body after years of abuse to become one of the fittest men on the planet, being the first to complete the epic 5 Ironman event. He has a huge breadth of guests that inspire in all areas of life, but many have had a similar focus to Rich and are athletic vegans. Feel Better, Live More with TV doctor and author Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. Also a guest-based podcast with lifestyle and health inspiration aplenty. Dr. Chatterjee's books are also worth a read, and he sets out a lifestyle framework based on pillars and champions that small changes daily build into habits that change your life. Finding Mastery is hosted by Dr. Michael Gervais, who is a sports psychologist, so often speaks about the mindset required for athletes to perform incredible feats. The Huberman Lab podcast, which I've referenced in a few videos, goes over my head quite a lot of the time with the in-depth science of the body, but is always excellently summarised for folks like me to understand the basic principles. The Plant Proof podcast gives some excellent advice and inspiration on a plant-based diet lifestyle. And then of course there's YouTube. I play my subscribers playlist while I'm in the gym and find that this is a great motivator while I'm working out, and feel that it's focused time listening to any information during the waiting between sets. Some of my subscriptions from the world of fitness and health are Greg Duchette, who has a unique delivery style which I love but some may not. However, his underlying message of maintaining makes a huge amount of sense to me, and it's definitely what I've switched to in my philosophy in the run-up to being 50. Other inspiration comes from Matt Does Fitness, whose app I mainly use for my workouts. I watch a host of World's Strongest Men competitors, past and present, like the Stoltmans, Eddie Hall, Thor, and Brian Shaw. Zach Perner and Will Tennyson bring a light-hearted injection to my feed with some great topics that covers diet and exercise. From a vegan diet side, I watch regular content from Simnet Nutrition and the Hench Herbivore. If you have an iPhone, using the Apple News feature to read articles on health and wellness will improve the algorithm that presents you with a good number of topics from the likes of Men's Health magazine, as well as publications with special articles. When I dropped meat from my diet 5 years ago, I was initially motivated by a number of film documentaries that I watched. These included Food Matters, which drives home the message that you are what you eat. Hungry for Change, on a similar vein, shows how many of today's lifestyle-related diseases can be eradicated by the diet we choose. Forks Over Knives is now 10 years old and was a huge hit. Whilst the film is old, the content is still very current and contains many people who are very much respected in the movement of eating a whole foods plant-based diet. Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead, also over 10 years old, and documents the journey of Joe Cross, a high roller who is on the brink of being chronically ill, and how he begins to turn his life around with a juice fast. Cowspiracy, the first of 2 documentaries are mentioned by Kip Anderson and Keegan Kuhn, which shows the environmental impact of following a meat eater's diet and what can be achieved by moving away from it. What the Health again from Kip and Keegan, and this one looks at the food industry and how the stories these industries spin are leading the world into an obesity epidemic and wrecking the earth along the way. Game Changers, following the path of an elite athlete who changes his diet and comes back from a serious injury even stronger. Finally, there is inspiration wherever you look if you want to find it. There are always sporting endeavours on some form of media outlet that will inspire. The Olympics has just started as this video gets released, and there are always amazing stories of athletes putting together sporting feats, usually on a budget, but their incredible grit pushes them through and motivates them to get to the very top of their sport.